What else about Puerto Escondido?
Well, the second time I went, that's when there was the hurricane.
Oh, what?
And that was definitely scary because, like you said, like the reason why they were protesting was because they didn't know if they had the infrastructure to support that many people. And by the time I went there, there was certainly more people. And the idea of a hurricane was just terrifying.
Chasing in the park, dancing in the dark. Maybe you're right, maybe all is hard. You just gotta see it like the old white swan. You feel the Amazon.
What's up, everybody? It's Jack from Pure World here. You are listening or watching to the Pure World podcast, and today I'm with my friend Cheyanne. Cheyanne, for anybody who doesn't know who you are, do you want to give a quick rocket pitch?
Hi, my name is Cheyanne, also known as Flow Within. I am an artist of many forms. I have many different passions, one of which we're going to talk about today, which is music. I'm also interested in holistic spiritual living just in general. And Jack and I actually met on a trip to Mexico through Happy Seeker, I think about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was so much fun. It was just such an amazing experience.
Let's talk about how we even came together for that experience. So
Okay.
it was hosted by Gabby.
Mm-hmm.
What's her Instagram handle? Do you remember?
It's either Gabby Riveros or Happy Seeker. I think was mostly her main one.
Mm-hmm. And she is like this travel influencer and lifestyle creator, and she put together this trip.
It was her first one, actually. And
Yeah.
I'm honored to be on that first trip because now she's doing these huge,
I know.
crazy trips. And
Right.
it's crazy.
And we see this industry of travelers doing guided trips is really starting to blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And she was definitely on the cutting edge of it, I think.
Yeah.
For us, she was my first trip that I ever been on. And
it was my first time out of the country. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so she hosted this trip in Puerto Escondido, Mexico, which is on the Pacific coast, South Mexico, actually. How many people were there? Maybe 10? 10 people?
It was either 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Very small amount of people on that first one.
And so the reason why I was there is because I was doing photography and content creation for the trip, and I was one of 3 guys, I remember, in the house, which was definitely an interesting experience. A lot of feminine energy, but it was a beautiful house with a swimming pool and a rooftop in this beautiful Mexican surf town, Puerto Escondido.
I love that town so much.
What was the experience like for you? How do you remember that first time out of the country?
It was just so amazing. I felt so supported in that group because I didn't speak very fluent Spanish at that time, and just being with everyone, I felt super safe, and I just had so much fun experiencing all of what that town was. And going back a second time too, I felt even better there as well.
You went back to Puerto for a second time.
Yeah, the second time.
I went for a second time to Puerto too, so we both revisited this little surf town. What was your second time like? How did you feel like it changed or you grew?
I definitely felt like it is changing there. It's gotten more expensive, which is kind of sad that it's starting to blow up. But it's such an amazing town. I'm happy for the people that are living in that town and are getting the business that they deserve. But the second time going, I definitely felt way more comfortable. I felt almost like a teacher to the new people that have been visiting. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I can't wait to go back again.
When I was actually, I think it was during the first Happy Seeker trip, there was a strike. I don't know if you remember this. And the people of Puerto Escondido were striking because there was a foreign investor who wanted to come in and build a hotel.
Mm-hmm. Was it a hotel or was a resort?
Apartments, maybe, or a resort, something. But I think the problem was that the people, the locals, felt like they didn't quite have the infrastructure that would be able to support so many people in such a small place, and let alone from foreign investment. And so the truck drivers actually parked their giant trucks all down the freeway and were striking.
It was almost
Protesting.
Yeah, they were protesting, but it was so different than you would expect from a protest here in the US. That was what I noticed.
It was so mature.
It was very mature. They had food going, and it was just like very different.
I think it's such a fascinating way to protest peacefully.
Yes. Yeah.
Because so it's one thing to protest peacefully when you're talking about like, okay, so like there's no violence going on. However, it's still having a negative impact on people, which is interesting. Like, is that a form of violence? What's the definition of violence? It's not physical violence. Yeah. Certainly not physical violence, but they were parking down the freeway so that, I mean, we couldn't get on our bus. We had to walk far. And it kind of like broke up the city. And I just remember it being somewhat of an inconvenience, but it was also super strategic for them to just like, we're going to park our trucks
here. Because it causes an inconvenience and it makes you like think about it.
It gets noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was a super cool form of protesting. And it showed me, well, because like I remember when I was a senior, I think, in high school, there was a lot of like marches. Like there was like a women's march. And I remember having a conversation with my teacher about like what is that actually doing? If you're just like going on a march as opposed to we're going to park tractors down the highway and we're going to block the highway.
Yeah. That's going to cause an impact.
Yeah. Like, and I just that was my perspective back in 2016. And now seeing those protests in Mexico in 2020 or 2021, whenever that was, I was really fascinated by like their strategy of protesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else? What else about Puerto Escondido?
Well, the second time I went, that's when there was the hurricane.
Oh, what?
Or like the risk of like the hurricane coming in.
Okay.
And that was definitely scary because like you said, like the reason why they were protesting was because they didn't know if they had the infrastructure to support that many people. And by the time I went there, there was certainly more people. And the idea of a hurricane was just terrifying because here, like, we definitely take for granted, like, the fact that we have drains. Like, that we have drains that drain the water. It's just, like, something that just goes right over your head. And you don't realize how important that is because they don't have those there.
Wow. And luckily, like sewers, right? That, like...
Kind of. Like, I don't even know where the water drains after experiencing heavy rain there.
Right.
Because luckily we didn't get hit with the, like, brunt of the hurricane. It went a little bit more south, I believe, but it did rain and there was extreme flooding.
Was this last October 2022?
I don't think it was October. It was like right in the beginning of rainy season for them. I think it was like April.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was April of last year. But yeah, seeing that, it made me realize how important drains were.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even
and being in a
it.
foreign country when there's like some sort of natural disaster coming. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
You don't even speak the language. Like, yeah. So what happened? Did you guys just hunker down in the house or?
We did. We hunkered down. We didn't get as many supplies as we probably should have, but we're lucky that it didn't hit us like it did.
Yeah.
A few people did leave. It was towards the end of the trip. So some people left, got on a flight early. I ended up staying I decided to miss my flight and stay longer. I stayed an extra week just to wait it out. And yeah, so that's what we ended up deciding to do. We were lucky that it didn't hit too bad, but it hit Mazunte.
Oh no!
Remember Mazunte?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I went back to Mazunte for a second time, but that's unfortunate. So how about now? Like, now that you have traveled twice, do you have any other goals, destinations, or any plans to travel?
Yeah, not like right now, like at the forefront of my brain. This year, at least, my focus is to go to as many shows and festivals as possible. I'm kind of like turning away from traveling, at least for this year, because I've done so much traveling since literally graduating high school. So now I'm trying to focus more on music festivals and concerts because that's like a big important thing in my life that I've wanted to do for so long. But both of those are very expensive endeavors, so you have to prioritize a little bit.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that, because I personally haven't been to too many festivals. I've been to like one concert with like a full day concert. It was Boston Calling, and it was pretty cool. But for somebody who I don't really listen to much EDM, and I know that like EDM and like festival culture, they go hand in hand. So like, what is the driving factor? Like, why do you want to go to these festivals? What do you get out of it? Or what do you hope to get out of it?
So there's a lot. There's so much that like brought me into wanting to go. It's not only EDM, I will say, because there's festivals for all different genres. I definitely prefer the EDM ones. Personally, I don't know, the driving factor, like there is so many things. I definitely love the community of it. I'm not an expert by any means. I've only been to 2 or maybe 3 well-known festivals, lots of concerts and shows, but I've only really like fully dove into it this year. But I just love the community and just how like caring and like loving this whole crowd is. It's like once you step into it, it's like a whole nother world, honestly.
Wow. And do you think that the people who maybe are at one festival, you might see them again at another festival? Like, is that the community that you feel like you're building and like meeting people that maybe you'll see again in your lifetime?
Yes, definitely. Especially, so I started off mostly this year going to shows, local shows in Boston. And after going to just a few of them, I see so many people that I recognize, even more people that I'm friends with. Like, I joined a few different groups. So I have like a Snapchat group that's Boston Ravers. There's a Discord. There's all different like Facebook groups. If anyone's like interested in getting into the community, it's so easy to like step in, and they're so welcoming. So you'll be like, oh, let's meet up. And then you meet up and you find a whole new friend group. And then you end up seeing so many more people at these shows. And then taking like a larger look at it when it comes to festivals, you can make festival friends like across the country, and then they meet up like every year at the festivals, which I'm like very excited to do. But I'm still kind of new into the festival scene, I would say, since I just went to Okeechobee, but that's my only recent in the past 3-year big festival.
Right. It sounds so awesome. Just the community, the vibes of like having friends with music that you love, and everybody's just happy.
Yeah. It's very similar to the travel community.
Right.
It's like it's big, but it's small at the same time.
What do you make of the outfits?
Okay.
The festival outfits.
I love the fashion. Honestly, after going to Okeechobee, though, I was blown away with so many people's dedication to these outfits, because they're amazing, extravagant. Like, some of them are handmade, and it takes serious strength to wear that all day. I tried it. I really did. I tried to wear like a cute, fun rave outfit, and it probably lasted like 4 hours, and
Why?
I was not comfortable. It was just like, this is too tight. This is too like, so then I just put on my like normal outfit, which is like these pants, which I actually make, but I make like full body outfits of it. And it's just so comfortable, and it's still like considered festival fashion and rave fashion. But I think for myself personally is comfort is key when you're in the heat.
Yeah.
But I like am so amazed with the people that go above and beyond with their outfits, because it's amazing. It's a work of art, honestly.
Yeah, and it's like they're super bold. Like, they get to wear their personality, and they get to just be free loving and free.
Yeah,
you know?
just free. Wear whatever you want, whatever your heart desires.
It's a really cool culture. It is it's the strongest culture ever. Like, it's crazy, because I see people post the photos of them and like 5 people, and they're all in these wild outfits. And from an outside perspective, I just do not quite get it, because I haven't been there. But if you've been there, you get it.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So Okeechobee, tell me a little bit about that. Where is it, and when did this happen? So
Okeechobee just happened in the beginning of March. It's located in like South Central Florida.
Okay.
Hot. It was very hot. probably like 90s the whole week. For the first 2 days, we were lucky and blessed with high winds, which caused some issues as long as you like
couple
prepared.
tents, couple
as long as you
tents
got your
fly
stuff,
away.
Yeah, got your stuff staked down, you're good. Day 4, there was no wind, and we were really missing it because it was hot.
You were just baking.
You were baking. Like, you needed to have a fan, like a hand fan, to cool yourself down. Otherwise, like, I don't know, you're looking at heat exhaustion or something.
Wow. And this is a 4-day festival, right?
Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm.
And where do you sleep?
So there's different options. I got GA camping.
Camping.
So, camping,
Okay.
yeah. Car camping, which I think that's all they had there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you really want. You want to be with a car so you can have a cooler in it or whatever.
Yes. Have a cooler or have the AC when you need, like, just a break.
How far away is your campsite from the music, like the stages?
Yeah. So this is something that I first experienced at this festival, because I've only ever had been to smaller festivals before this one, and I underestimated the walk from the camp to the music. And I would say we had to walk at least a mile, probably a little bit more, to get to the music. And
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's far.
Yeah.
But you can also get GA
Wait, like how many minutes?
25 minutes. 25-minute walk.
Yeah, that might be even a mile and a half or 2 miles. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was far.
Okay.
Yeah, when I looked at my, like, on my iPhone after how many miles I walked, I think my max one day was 20 miles. That was like my highest one. 20 miles.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That is insane.
It is.
And how many stages are there?
So at Okeechobee, if I had to just randomly guess, I would say like 7. There was, probably about 7, 8. Yeah.
It's a good ballpark. Mm-hmm. And they're far away. They're like, I just don't understand the sound engineering of it, where like one stage could be like plastic music, and then you like walk away from it towards another stage, and then eventually your hearing just switches, and now you no longer hear the old stage and you hear the new stage. How far in between like other stages?
Some of them were surprisingly close. But the way that it's set up, I don't think they have like huge acts going on at the same time. So that helps.
Yeah.
There's usually trees or something in between. The stages that are close that don't have an obstruction in the way usually aren't playing at the same time. So that works. But it does, like, if one is full blast and the other one is full blast, they're both powerful. Like, you won't, like, if you're close enough to one, you'll hear that one. If you're close enough to the other one, you'll hear that one.
Right.
It doesn't really cross over much.
Interesting.
I don't think.
Yeah. That's crazy. And were you ever afraid of getting your possessions stolen while you were away from your site?
Not away from my campsite. That is a worry for a lot of people. We did keep our most valuable items in the car.
Yeah, you got to have a car, right? Like that makes so much sense.
I believe in like plur, definitely. So I don't expect people to steal things. It's more common, I'd say, that people are stealing like while you're walking around.
Pickpocketing.
Okay. I didn't hear of anything, or none of that happened to me, and I didn't feel that vibe at all there. But at certain festivals, like, it is something to be aware of at the least.
What is plur when you're talking about festival culture?
So plur is kind of the motto, I would say, of the whole scene in general, and it stands for peace, love, unity, and respect. And it's just the way that everyone acts in general to each other. You have to embody it in yourself, and it's just like something to keep thinking about as you're walking around. Like, if someone is in need, or like you're just like sharing, and it's just like a whole community. Like, everyone's looking out for each other.
And people talk about this? Where did you learn this?
So people do talk about it, and there's like a tradition that goes on within the crowd, which is trading candy. Do you know what candy is?
No.
So candy is the bracelets that people make, and you trade them to people at the festival if you want to. But so when you trade, you do this. Here, we can do it here.
Yeah.
So you go like this. Peace.
Okay.
Love.
Unity.
And then respect. And you do this, and then you trade a bracelet over each hand.
Okay.
And so then it's like just a sharing. So you do that with someone you're vibing with, or maybe someone who you think it looks like they're not having a good time, just to like share the love.
And people make their own bracelets
Mm-hmm.
and they exchange them. Did you make your bracelets before you even got there?
Yeah, you can do both. I mean, I made a few while I was there.
Yeah.
I don't have any on right now, but you can just make things that just different sayings on them. Like you can write plur on it. You can write you're wanted, like you are loved. I like to put positive like affirmations on mine that I like to share. Some people just put random words like funny stuff or stay hydrated, things like that, just to share with someone and to remind people of what plur is.
That sounds really cool, especially like stay hydrated. Little reminder.
Yeah, because it's important. Very important.
Yeah, eat. Don't forget to
your
eat.
food. Yeah.
Have a fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's easy at festivals to just get lost in having such a good time, but it's so important to make sure you take care of your body because you really, like, you're walking 20 miles. Like, you're doing way more than you would do on a normal day. So, like, you got to make sure you're eating more and hydrating more.
Can't believe you walked 20 miles.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know how many calories that is? That's like 2,500 calories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's an insane amount of walking. How expensive was it? What was like the financial?
So in total, we booked like a double ticket. So we had a little bit of a discount. We got car camping in addition to that. So total, it was $450 each, including the taxes and fees and everything.
Okay, so $900 for the two-person ticket.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So it's expensive. It definitely is expensive.
And did you fly to Florida or did you drive?
We drove.
Nice.
Which is fun. I don't know if I would recommend it just because after, partying and having fun for 4 days in a row, driving like 24 hours is pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you, on your way home, did you guys stop anywhere?
Yeah, we actually did stop and got a hotel because we just needed like a shower, a real bed. Yeah.
Yeah. To drive 24 hours from Florida up to Massachusetts is ridiculous to do it in one go, and people do.
Oh yeah, we took a break because it's necessary.
And who did you go with?
I went with my friend Norm.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of new into the scene too, so it was exciting. Like this was his first festival.
Wow.
So it's cool, like getting him into it.
You guys really went for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So overall, were there any lessons you learned? Was there like, what was your takeaway from this festival?
So I definitely learned a lot from this festival. I learned how important the certain things that people like really say, like good shoes, like that's important. That's something I thought I would be okay with. I wore boots, like combat boots. That was not it for me. I had so many blisters on my feet. So like, I think it's important to make sure you're wearing good shoe wear. Like don't even care if it matches your outfit, something comfortable. Definitely one thing I couldn't have lived without at this festival was our portable shower.
That's brilliant.
Yes, because the showers, they offer showers, but there's lines and all this, and it's just easier to shower at your own site.
Wow, that was so smart.
Yeah, I could not have survived without that because it's hot. You're sweating. It's dusty. I do wish that I brought a face mask. That was something I wish I had brought because I underestimated how dusty it was, and I ended up getting sick after because of it. I think it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, you get particulates in your lungs, like bronchitis and stuff.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so you didn't really have a face mask. That's funny because it's not really like the thing that people nowadays use face masks for, but...
And I mean, you don't really need it. Like when you're like at a stage and you're just standing and like having a good time, like you don't need a mask. But when you're walking around and everyone else is walking, that's when the dust is being kicked up. So
almost like a bandana or something.
A bandana, or a pashmina. It can be
stylish.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just can't get over the fact that you camped really for like 4 days and you were just staying in a tent.
So there's a lot that goes into, I think the most important thing for myself, at least, to having a good time at a festival is having a good home base, because you're not at the music all the time and you want to come back to your campsite that's like welcoming, comfortable, like a place with shade, a place with like airflow. And that's so important. I made sure we were very prepared with our campsite setup.
Yeah.
For sure.
Tell me a little bit about your campsite. Because I saw like a video and it looked awesome.
Yeah. So it's funny because it was really like my first big festival, but I watched so many videos and I read so many lists, so I was prepared. So we had a tent. It was a 10 by 10 tent. And then we had a canopy, which is basically like creates shade outside of our tent. We had a tarp on the ground, which is good for like when you get out of it, you can just walk on that so you're not getting dirty feet.
Right.
We had a table. I actually brought like, this is my one like extra item, which was a hammock stand, which is really not necessary, but it was really nice to have to like lay in a hammock without a tree or anything.
Yeah.
And then we had chairs, like the table, like I said. I brought a camp stove, so we cooked breakfast every single day.
Yeah, I was interested in what kind of food you had. So you cooked breakfast?
We cooked breakfast. So we had like eggs, bacon. We also brought hot dogs, just basic snack stuff like trail mix. I brought clementines, just easy stuff. I do wish we brought a little bit more to cook though, because the food is expensive in the venue. So if you cook yourself, you really save a lot of money.
And you guys, would you ever drive away from your campsite?
Oh no, you can't. You can't drive. Once you park,
you're there.
You're kind of there, unless you're leaving, unless you're ready to leave. Yeah.
Right. Which is kind of crazy because like, what if you really needed something? What would you do if you needed something that wasn't there, like like medicine or something? Odds
are, if it's just like a basic medicine like Advil, like at every festival they have something called the general store, which has anything you could have forgotten. Like they literally have tents, tarps, like medicine, like razors, anything at all that you could have forgotten. They're gonna have it there because people have forgotten it before and it's been added.
Right.
So like unless you needed like something that no way you could get it, then you would have to leave and you wouldn't be able to come back. Or you could walk out.
Like walk out, maybe get an Uber or something?
Yeah,
how far away was it from civilization?
Okeechobee specifically is pretty out there. We drove through a lot of fields with cows. It's a small town for sure. And that's how some of the camping festivals are usually, because they want to be far away. They don't want to be causing a disturbance.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty far away from something else.
Wow. That's crazy. It sounds like really exciting. Just overall in general, it sounds like a really fun time. What was like maybe your, a rose, bud, and thorn. So have you ever played that game before?
I have not.
Okay, so rose is something good that happened, and that you were like really happy about. A thorn is something that wasn't so good and you're not so happy about. And the bud is something that's like going to blossom.
Okay.
And it's something that you can look forward to.
Okay. Let's see. So what should I start with? Should I start with the rose or should I go backwards? We'll start with the thorn. We'll start with worst to good.
Yeah.
So I think the thorn, something... I did lose my phone. I guess that was a thorn. It had its good sides, not being responsible for a phone. But I did lose my phone on day 2. Thankfully, it was returned to Lost and Found, and I got it back. Thankfully.
Plur.
Yes, we love it so much. But it was actually good to be without my phone for a little bit. But that was a little sad because I do love like taking videos and pictures and like creating content. And I really wanted to for this festival. But it really just made me like enjoy the moment, the present moment.
So when you did lose your phone, did you at one point just kind of accept that you might never get it back?
Honestly, right away, like as soon as I noticed it was gone, I just like accepted it. I didn't allow it to like ruin any of my time. But yeah, I did accept, I'll just buy another one. Like it just is what it is. Like there's no reason to get extremely upset about it because that's not going to change anything. Like I can hope and just like, believe in Plur that somebody will find it and bring it to Lost and Found. And that's like all I did. I didn't get too upset about it. But it was definitely like, wow, that's $1,000 just gone.
Right. But you got it back.
I did get it back. Yes.
It's awesome.
Let's see, a bud. So that you said that was like something that's going to bloom.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think our camp setup. I feel like that was, I guess, like a bud because we had a lot of stuff. I think we were a little over prepared in some aspects, but under prepared in others. So that was like just a trial run. And I think that my camp setup for my next couple festivals is going to be just exactly what I want. So that one is like a bud. And for a rose, I would definitely like, I have to say the music because there was so many sets that were just amazing. And something in my experience, like thankfully we got to see almost every artist that we like was our non-negotiables and even more than that. So I'm really grateful that we got to see all the artists we wanted to because it is such a big space. It's hard to see everyone you want to see. But we pretty much made that happen. So that was awesome.
Wow. That's awesome. What are your future plans? Like you mentioned that you have more festivals to go to. So what are your plans?
So
what's your schedule?
My next festival, as of right now, I might be going to a small one in Massachusetts, which is called Moonwalk. So that's on the horizon. That one's in June. I haven't bought a ticket yet. But my guaranteed ones are Electric Forest, which is a big one that I've wanted to go to for so long. That's in Michigan. Okay. You've heard of that, right?
No.
You've never heard of Electric Forest? That's crazy. That's a big one.
Okay.
That's crazy. And then the other one I'm going to is Elements, which is in Pennsylvania. That one's only 4 hours away.
Not bad.
The lineup for that one is pretty bomb, I gotta say. Like it's Skrillex, LS Dream, Subtronics. There's so many more. Those are like, they're just 3 really big artists. I don't know if you know them, but the lineup for Elements is like pretty nuts for how like close it is.
Yeah, it sounds epic. What is your advice for somebody who's thinking about going to their first festival?
My first tip is to start small because the big festivals can be very overwhelming. Even for myself, just going to Okeechobee, there was a lot of people. It was like 40,000. I think starting small is good. Starting small and local, just so you can get acquainted with the scene in general and start to feel comfortable. But if you want to start big, then I recommend watching a lot of videos, reading a lot of lists of what is good to have. My like non-negotiable things that you need to have are earplugs. Seriously, protect your hearing.
Whoa, that's a good idea.
Yeah, for a while I did not wear earplugs. And thankfully, like you can get something called tinnitus, which I don't have, thankfully, but it's when you have constant ringing in your ears. And it can definitely happen if you're going to a lot of shows in EDM. And at first, when you start wearing earplugs, you're like, oh, this is taking away from my experience. And it does sound different. But once you get used to it, it's like, you can't even tell that you have earplugs in.
Totally, yeah.
And it really, you can hear conversation better. It's just so important to protect your hearing at these events because there's a few events I've been to where I'm like, this is painful. Like, this is hurting my ears. And I had to like step away and I'm like, it's definitely causes damage. So earplugs, super important. Make sure you got some high fidelity earplugs for a rave or a concert.
Yeah,
or anything.
That's smart. Yeah, definitely.
So besides that was a little long tangent of one of my non-negotiables, but a camp shower. Don't forget it for your festival. You want it if it's hot. Good shoes, and a shade tent. I'm trying to think of what else is like, you cannot be with a hydro backpack.
With like liquid in it.
Yes. Yeah. Because and most of the time, festival season is during summer. It is during spring. It's hot. You're probably not going to have shade where you're camping just because that's how it works. It's in a field with cars. You want a hydro pack that is carrying your water around because it's like the number one thing that takes people to the medical tents at festivals is dehydration or like overheating in some way. So staying hydrated is super, super important.
How about like behaviors or things to do while you are at the festival?
Okay. So that kind of goes into Plur a little bit. Like like acting in Plur. So my favorite things is like things to share. So you always want to like, I don't know, talk to people, like make friends. That's kind of like what you're here to do, is like to just enjoy the music and all vibe as like a whole community. So I personally like to either trade candy, or give out little gifts. And my personal favorite gift to give out is mini bubbles.
Ooh,
yeah, because bubbles,
nice.
like everyone loves bubbles.
Yeah,
And
that's fun.
yeah, it's like a multifunctional gift because it makes everyone around you really happy. Whoever's blowing the bubbles, they're happy. And then if you're trying to say get to the front of the crowd, which you gotta say excuse me first of all, but if you're blowing bubbles and you're like excuse me, and then you're like I'm the bubble coming through with the bubbles, I think it works great. People love
People
it.
are
Yeah,
like, let the bubble girl
they're
go.
like, yeah, let the bubble
her
girl go through it instead of someone like, because you know everyone wants to be in the front. So
Yeah. I mean, just going to shows in general, that can be a contentious part of the experience, is like getting to the front, but people were there first. And
exactly.
so who has the right of way? And if they were there first, why should they let you go in front of them? And so, yeah, did you see any fights happen?
No, not fights. I mean, no, I didn't see any fights. There is the mosh pit though, which
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
all in good fun,
Yeah.
for sure. I did go in the mosh pit at Okeechobee during Excision. I really got humbled, I would say, because I always go in the mosh pits at shows and stuff, but this is a big mosh pit. I almost like got seriously hurt, and that was when I was like, all right, I need to like understand that I'm a small person. But every time in mosh pits at any EDM show I've been to, as soon as you are falling down or you like really take a good hit, like no one's doing it on purpose.
Right.
But people are lifting you up immediately. Like
That's
no
good.
one is letting you like stay on the ground because you can get seriously hurt
Yeah.
doing like falling on the ground because there's people just pushing and you know swinging around.
Wasn't there like a trampling or something that happened recently? What was the Travis Scott thing?
Oh, that's a totally like. There's no Plur at those shows. I don't think so. At least
We
like
need to introduce Plur.
they need Plur. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I do remember it was like way overcrowded and yeah, I guess.
Oh,
yeah,
people
were
like
getting trampled.
broke in. Didn't like people break
Yeah.
in like through the fences or something?
I think so. I think it was also just oversold in general.
Right.
I thought some people like it like suffocation was an issue because it was so crowded, which I can't even imagine how crowded it must be to be able to suffocate in a crowd. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah. Watching out, like that's another part of Plur is like if someone falls down, you pick them up like right away. Because that's how I almost got hurt in the mosh pit because I fell down for a second. Someone lifted me right up, but when I fell, my leg got stepped on, my ankle, and I felt it. Like I was like, that was like if they stepped a little bit harder, like I probably could have like seriously hurt myself. And that's when I was like, okay, we're gonna stand on the outside and just watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about like, well, so do people drink alcohol at these shows? Because you were mentioning like dehydration can be a factor. And at first when you said like a hydration pack, like one of those backpacks, like the first thing that like went to my mind is like it's such a college thing to do to have one of those hydro backpacks, but instead of having like water in it, you just put like wine or like a mixed drink or beer or something. And then it kind of defeats the, like it's not providing any hydration. It's actually dehydrating you. So what was that whole scene like with like, you know, alcohol and drugs, and talk a little bit about like that culture and what it's like at festivals.
Okay, so that's another reason why like hydration is so important because people are doing these things. I really, really hope that no one is putting alcohol in their hydro packs just because it's hot. Like it's hot. Like you can buy alcohol or put your alcohol in a water bottle. Keep that hydro pack clean with water.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are drinking. They sell like the drinks are expensive there, but yeah, people are drinking and people
Can you bring your drinks in?
I'm honestly not sure. I did. They didn't,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I feel like security wasn't super strict at Okeechobee or what. I mean, they never checked inside any of my bags once, which is slightly concerning, I guess. But I walked in with, like, just a little, like, string bag full of Vizzies, like those, like, just those kind of drinks. And they didn't say anything. I've seen people with wine bags. I've seen people in there with it. I'm not sure if you have to sneak it in or what the deal is, but
Right.
you can bring it in if you find a way.
Got it. And were people like belligerently drunk
It's hard to tell.
or intoxicated to the point where like, you know, like, do you see people who are just falling on their faces?
I didn't see, like, if I saw someone like that, I would definitely, like, try to offer them some water or, like, see how they're doing if they were, like, seriously looking unwell, intoxicated. But there's such a mix. It's, like, the vibes are so high and everyone is so, like, just dancing and everything. So it's hard to tell if someone is, like, drunk, if they're just sober and just having a good time, or if maybe they're trying some substances or what it is. So as long as everyone looks like they're having an okay time and they're not, like, hurting themselves or making anyone else uncomfortable, then that's when you want to step in. But otherwise, like, it's hard to tell. Like, it's hard to tell. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because there's such a like a cultural association, I would say, with festivals and drug culture, and I never knew like whether or not there was much alcohol or if people just opted for like drugs instead of alcohol. But it's probably a mix of both. It
is a mix of both. It's honestly hard for me to know what is more prevalent. Yeah, because I personally, like, I mostly just drank, or like was sober just because it was exhausting. Like, and then the idea of waking up feeling not well the next day was just like a big no for me. So I wanted to make sure that like my body was like doing well.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to like tap out on the first night or something, you know, like where you're like you know, you drink too much or something and then you're not able to enjoy the rest of the festival. So you really kind of have to be like on your game. And if you're walking 20 miles a day, you want to you want to be able to perform. It's almost like athletics.
Yeah. And that's like from my experience, like I've done, like, if we want to call them party favors on here, like substances, whatever, I've done them before. And I've also heard experiences and like, going to a festival, there is there's a lot going on. Like there's a lot that you can get easily overstimulated. You can possibly have a lot of anxiety if you're doing these substances. Like maybe you'll have a great time. You know, some people do have a great time. Everyone is different.
Yeah.
So you know yourself best. But I think it's super important to know that like less is more. Like you paid so much money to go and see your favorite artist. Like you don't want to do something and then have that be the reason why like you can't make it out into the festival or because you start having anxiety or like something like that. Like I think it's so important to remember like you want to experience this and remember this. So don't go overboard. And then just make sure you have people that you trust and like have a plan for like if things do go wrong. Like don't be afraid to go to the medical tent to get help if you need it, because they're there to help you. Like they're not gonna kick you out. Like they're gonna help you and then they're gonna send you on your way right back to the festival. So it's good to be aware of that. It's also good to know where the medical tents are if you see someone who does need help. And I think a number one thing is for me, if you see someone who looks like maybe they're not doing so hot, like maybe they're having some anxiety, instead of going over to them and saying, hey, like, are you okay? And like putting that idea into their head, go over to them and either give them some bubbles, trade some candy with them, ask them how they're doing, ask them how they're liking this artist that's playing. Instead of putting like a negative idea into their head, put something positive in there.
That's so smart.
That could easily switch them back to having a great time. Like welcome them into your group if they're alone. Yeah, so that's brilliant. Yes, I think that's super important to do.
Yeah, because I can totally see how that could freak somebody out by like saying like
a stranger being like, "Hey, are you okay?" Like you're like just trying to sit down for a sec, get some air.
Like, do I not look okay?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really smart. So actually, before we go any further, I actually had something that I wanted to give you.
To give me?
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Here, this is a little gift from Pure World.
Oh my gosh.
It is a boho bag.
This is amazing. Oh my God, I'm going to use this so much.
Yeah.
I have my backpack already that
Right.
you gave me on that first trip. This is great. I love these colors.
Yeah, so that's called the Capitola.
Nice. We got these little pockets on the inside. We love.
Yeah. So that's for you,
Thank you.
of course.
Yay.
Thanks for being on the pod.
Set her up right here.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes. Beautiful.
So, as we wrap up the festival discussion, closing remarks, any other thoughts that have come to mind?
Yeah, so there's a few things I forgot to mention. One thing that is super important when it comes to the party favors is test kit. Get a test kit beforehand, before you go to the festival. Test your stuff if you are going to be partaking in the party favors. Super, super important. And then one other thing I forgot to mention to not underestimate is the sun. Wear your sunscreen. I don't typically get sunburnt usually, just like based on like my skin tone. I'm Italian and Native American. It usually just tans. Even I got sunburnt. Wear your sunscreen. It's hot out there. You're standing in the sun all day. Those are the two things I forgot to mention that are super, super important. Besides that, I feel like I covered almost everything when it comes to the music festivals and concerts.
Cool. Maybe if anybody's watching and they have other questions, they could reach out to you in your Instagram DMs, maybe.
Definitely. I'm trying to finalize a packing list on something. Like right now I just have it in my phone notes app, but I want to make it into like a Google Doc or of something that is like to be used for other people, because it's in depth. Having a list is super important, so you don't have to like be stressed about forgetting something. So I want to finalize a list, so you'll be able to find that on my like link tree eventually. On my Instagram page, it will be on there soon. So
cool. Very cool. Very cool. Another topic that I was kind of interested with you is I think that, for as long as I've known you, I feel like you live like a somewhat of a well-balanced, healthy lifestyle. Do you want to talk a little bit about just like how you try to live a better life?
So for me, I've definitely been on a growth journey. I take it like one step at a time. We definitely have like our highs and our lows. Something that's really important for me is to be patient with myself and like take it like one step at a time. I love reading different like self-help books and like trying to integrate those as I go versus just reading a ton of it all at once. Something that's been really important to me as of like this year is to wake up every day and just think of like what my heart desires to do. Like if I don't want to go and like do a ton of stuff that's like maybe will be super productive, I'm not going to push myself and like do that, because it's not like in flow, it's not in alignment with like how I'm currently feeling. So if I wake up and I'm like, you know what, I just want to like relax and maybe like watch some TV, or I can't really watch TV like on its own. I have to be doing something else. So I'll either crochet. That's something that is like relaxing for me, is like I'm watching a show and like my brain is having a rest, but I'll be crocheting or drawing, like creating art. Something that's really been helpful for me in my like for many years is flow arts, which I primarily do hula hooping. I've been doing it for like 8 years, but that is extremely meditative. It kind of takes me out of my head and puts me into my body. And there's so many different forms of flow arts. There's hula hooping, poi, staff.
What's poi and staff?
Poi is like 2 balls on like a string with like a ball at the top as well. So it's kind of the idea, like if you were to have a keychain, let's say, with like a heavy key at the end and you're kind of swinging it, it's like the same momentum as that, but there's 2. And people are really good at it. That's something I really want to learn this year, is get good at poi.
Kind of like gives me fire dancing vibes.
Yeah.
The whole flow, what do you call it? Flow arts. I think of fire dancing a lot. Like, that's a lot of the performance of it. How did you get into that stuff?
So those are like one and the same. Like once you get really good at like regular flow arts, you kind of just naturally want to transition into using fire. So the way that I first got into it, I feel like I just saw a video and I was like, that's really interesting and I really want to learn it. And I bought a hula hoop and I just started doing it. After maybe like 4 or 5 years, that's when I started doing fire, which I've been doing now for like 2 years. And I've got a couple fire props. It's really fun. It's
Really?
like, it's really, really fun.
Dangerous?
Yeah, no, yes and no. I mean, you got to be safe, obviously. You don't want to do it alone. Have a fire blanket. Be aware that it is fire. Don't want to touch yourself with it. Just follow all the precautions. Having someone around who knows what they're doing is important and good. But as long as you're safe about it, then it's not really dangerous, no.
Yeah, it sounds really fun and exhilarating.
It is,
honestly,
yeah.
and awesome entertainment. Traveling like in Mexico and out in Southeast Asia and stuff, there's a lot of fire dancing that goes on for entertainment. And at like hostels, like there's a good overlap of that culture of like fire dancers who are at hostels, and I'm sure at festivals too.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but were you there that night when I got to spin the fire poi in Mexico?
I think so.
Yeah. So it's funny because that person who was a performer in Mexico was actually really upset that I was using my LED props at this specific place because I was apparently attracting attention away from his performance. I didn't speak Spanish, but he was kind of like mad, I guess, at me.
Interesting. I
And
didn't
then,
know that.
yeah. And then afterwards, when he was fire performing, I wanted to watch. I'm like, I love watching. So I helped him. I picked up his props a few times when they fall, because that's inevitable if they do fall eventually. And then what I wanted to say was the next year that I went there, he remembered me. And he actually let me use his fire fans. At Cactus. Remember Cactus?
Yes, of course.
He let me use them like fully, like the whole burn. It was really awesome.
So maybe I didn't see you do it, but you did it the second time.
No, I did do it the first time too, because he like gave me the fire poi, which I had never used before, mind you, and my hair was down. Thankfully, we had
gosh.
no
that sounds like the worst case scenario.
Yeah, it was scary, but it felt like it was a lot of pressure, so I was like, I have to do it, and then I did it, and it was great. It was really fun.
Interesting.
Probably wouldn't do that again because I mean I got really long hair. And
yeah, you do have long hair.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Fire dancing sounds awesome. Do you ever see yourself taking like that route or like becoming more of a professional fire dancer?
I've thought about it, and I've definitely been given a few opportunities. It's kind of something I guess I'm kind of figuring out right now. I'm not sure I want to do it professionally, just because the idea of like having to do it and like being paid to do it, like just puts a lot of pressure on me. And like, I'm not sure, it's more of like a fun hobby and it's a passion of mine. And I like the idea of putting like a price on that, and being like not like forced to do it, but like I'm obligated in a situation that I'm being paid to do it. So I'm kind of figuring it out. I think I definitely need more practice with it to feel comfortable enough to be a professional performer. I think that's number one what's holding me back, probably.
Interesting. Do you have plans? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What do you think about that ever, or are you just going with the flow day by day?
I do think about it. I'm 24 right now, so in like 5 years, I'll be almost 30. I definitely want to have as much fun as I possibly can in my 20s and just explore all of my options and see what really feels right, because I've done a lot of different things. Like I love traveling so much. I love flow arts. I do want to kind of explore the idea of making music and performing in that way. So I want to dip my toes in. I also love creating art, like just physical art, drawing. So that could be like a small business idea. In 5 years, I just see myself just having so many options. Like I just want to explore my options now, and then by the time I'm that age, I hope I'm like ready to make a decision.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that's good thinking. I've heard, and I actually spoke about this on the last podcast, that in your 20s it's a good time for you to just try everything.
Exactly.
And then they say like in your 30s it's a time to figure out what you're actually good at.
Yeah.
And then in your 40s to make money doing what you're actually good at. And so I think spending time just trying out, just exploring right now while you're still in your 20s, that sounds completely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable
that's
with
what I'm doing too,
exactly.
honestly.
Yeah, because like you said, you got to figure out like what you enjoy, what you're passionate about, and then also what you're good at, because that's super important in the long run. Whether you're good at something or not, that's how you will end up making money doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel a pressure to be part of the economy right now?
What do you mean exactly?
Like, do you feel like the pressures of like making money and, having like a nicer car where you have like a car loan, or like living in a nice apartment where you have to pay rent, or buying a house, or like, do you ever think about those like financial things?
Yeah, I definitely do feel the pressure sometimes. It's definitely not for myself. It's usually if someone else is like imposing that idea on me. I think, yeah, that's just like a part of our society, especially at our age. Like, there's so many different people doing so many different things. Like, some people are settling down, they're having kids, they're getting married, they have a house, they really have it figured out. Like, they're just set in their path. And then there's the other people who really want to explore, live it up in their 20s. So there's just so many.
And there are some who are just like, I'm going to be part of the economy, and I'm going to work for a big corporation, and I'm going to like, put in as much time as I can and really like make my impact in an organization, in the economy. And so like, that's a different side of things. Yeah. And then there are people who are like, no, I'm not doing either. I'm not starting a family, and I'm not going to be a cog in the machine.
Yeah. I don't think I really want to be like, I don't really like see, for myself at least, like I don't think any way is wrong. I think whatever feels right for you that's what you should be doing. But I don't really want to like contribute in that way. I would say I kind of want to figure it out on my own and be more independent in the way that I make money. Like eventually I would definitely want to have like my own business. I don't want to be like working for a corporation, I don't think, in the long run. Yeah.
It's such a hippie like lifestyle and thinking. Like, it's the, like, if you think of like literally like the classic hippies, the counterculture to everything, they were kind of like let's start a commune, let's not like go work for a big corporation, let's like just work what is needed and like only earn like what is needed to like provide for the other people. And that like commune idea, that was like hippies. And it's definitely like having a revolution, maybe not even a revolution, but it's like it never really went away.
I think it is kind of making a comeback now, because especially with social media, like there are so many ways you can make money in today's like day and age. Like so many people are making money on social media in a wide variety of topics. Like there's just so many options now that you don't have to, go to college and get a career, like go be a lawyer. Like that's not the highest paying job. Like if we're being honest, like social media really does have like no limits. Like it's just whatever you put in, whatever, you'll make way more than people who got a whole college degree, which is just crazy. And it's just crazy how fast things can change. And who knows, like maybe in a couple of years, like there'll be even more jobs like AI. I mean, that's like a whole thing coming up. So
definitely. You have a decent amount of followers on social media. Do you feel like there's like an opportunity for you to like provide them with value, or like you talked about maybe starting a business. Do you think of like and you also mentioned that you're making a checklist for festivals. Yeah. So like that's a great way to provide them with value. The people who are interested in you and your lifestyle, you can provide them with value. Do you think of like other ways? I mean, maybe like with your art, you mentioned that you make some clothing.
Yeah. I definitely have so many different things that I do. When it comes to social media, I think like my Instagram has a decent amount of followers simply because I figured out the algorithm with Instagram Reels. So it's kind of hard when you do like my Instagram kind of blew up for like a small second, but I don't think that those people are genuinely following me because they like are interested in music festivals or they're interested in art. Like they liked it because I made a lot of travel videos at a certain point. So at this point, I just create content for myself, what I think people will like. I do like to create art. I want to make stickers. I have a lot of ideas that are brewing that I plan to like have come out during the springtime as things are coming back to life again.
That sounds fun. Stickers.
Yeah, stickers with my art. Yeah, that's something I was about to do that, and then I had to stop because I was prepping for the festival and stuff. So yeah, stickers. I do want to make a list. I think that will be very helpful for people.
Totally.
Because I'm a very like organization when it comes to those things is super important, and I think it takes so much stress off the situation. So providing a list is definitely something I want to do.
You know, I think would be really cool with the list is if in order to get the list, they like put in their email or their phone number to like join part of a newsletter or something where you can then send them other updates and say things like, hey, I'm doing a live video chat. Join me and like, let's chat. Or things like, I just launched new stickers.
Yeah.
Go check them out. And if you are able to like capture their contact information, then you can communicate with them.
Yeah.
Whenever there's something for you to share with them.
I think that just gave me an idea of like, I think providing email, but maybe to create a community of like potentially to meet up at like these festivals and stuff. Cause I would love, like, I want more like girl friends, like girl raver friends, like to go and camp with. Cause I think that'd be just so much fun to have like a big group. So that'd be fun to like create a community that we can all like chat in and see who's going to what. And I think that's a good idea. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny with that, like creating a community, I always go back and forth about where's the best place to host a community.
Right. Yeah.
There's Facebook groups. There's Snapchat. There's WhatsApp, which WhatsApp has communities, which I think is like a pretty decent way. That's how Pure World has been hosting its community. We have the Pure World Adventure Club. For anybody who's listening and doesn't know about it, the Pure World Adventure Club is a place where we share travel inspiration, we share advice, other opportunities to work more with the brand. We are actually right now, as this podcast is being filmed, we're in the middle of our Battle of the Bags.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, we have 32 bag designs that are going head to head, and our community is voting on which ones they want to win.
Oh, nice.
And at the end, there will be one winning bag, and we will actually make it, and we will bring it to life. But all of those bags, almost all of those bags, were designed by our community.
Wow. I thought that it was already existing bags, but that's amazing that it's new.
They're all brand new designs that do not exist right now. And they were designed with the help of our community.
That's awesome.
So we're trying to create ways for our community to become more involved. And one thing that, one like inspiration that I have around Pure World is this idea. It's a crypto idea, and it's called a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO. And basically what that is when you buy into the organization, like if you, like you're basically like investing. Say you like bought one share of the company, and then 99 other people bought one share. So there were 100 people who all owned 1% of the company.
Okay.
This decentralized autonomous organization would make decisions based on the votes of the people who own the organization. And you own the organization by just buying one share. And eventually, like maybe the 100 people who own one share each cast their votes on whether or not we should double the amount of people who are in it and open up 100 more shares. And so everybody now, instead of owning 1%, owns 0.5%.
Okay. I like this whole idea.
Yeah. And so that would be kind of a way that Pure World could get other shareholders involved in the decisions, just like designing bags, just like deciding what we want to name bags, or you know, what product do we release next? Well, the shareholders will decide. What podcast guests do we want to have on?
Different topics.
What topics do people want to learn about? And we're moving to this place where we want thought leaders, like real A-listers who can come on and do a 1-hour session where it's like a one-on-one, or you know, them talking to the community of a lecture of something that they know about. And the community could vote on who they want to come and talk to them and what they want to learn. Yeah. So those are all kind of ideas that are brewing in Pure World. But yeah, lots of cool stuff.
That's exciting. Spring, I feel like spring is bringing a lot in, like this year. So
yeah. Also, spring is just the time to go outside and go on adventures. And
today's actually the first day of spring while we're filming this right now.
I actually heard that.
Yeah, I saw that on my plan.
And it's a beautiful sunny day.
It is.
So after we're done, you're gonna have to get outside and get some sunshine. It's funny, we hung out maybe almost like a year ago, and it was another beautiful day like this, and just driving here reminded me of like, this is kind of like the last time we hung out. It was a sunny day. But yeah, it's been real fun talking. Yeah. Anything else? Great. Any other, closing thoughts that you want to chat about before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to talk about. Just remember Plur, if you guys go to festivals.
Run it back one more time. Tell the people. Okay.
Peace, love, unity, and respect. You just got to fully embody this whenever you go to your festivals. And just know that there's something for everyone at these festivals. There's so many types of music, flow arts. I'm telling you, there's a prop for you. There's a prop for everyone, I think. There's so many of them. And once you find your prop, it's like, it's just amazing. It's an amazing feeling. So explore that. Yeah, I think that's about all. I think I covered everything.
Where can the people find you, and how could they support you?
You can find me on pretty much every social media as Flow Within, FLOWITHIN. And yeah, just check me out, interact with me. Let me know if you're going to any shows coming up. I'd love to meet up. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is the Pure World Podcast. If you'd like to support us, you can always shop your sustainable adventure gear at pureworldshop.com. We've got awesome boho bags that are crossbody. We've got backpacks. We actually are releasing new boho bags that are matching all of our best-selling backpacks. So go and check those out. And thank you so much for checking in with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.